Your mother and I are going to get a divorce.
But what about me? What will become of me now?
You? You'll always be my little princess. You'll live with me in a different house. I'll introduce you to my new girlfriend. I know the two of you will get along just fine.
Even though I'm not your real mother, you still have to obey me. You hear me, Alice?
Mom? But honey, why won't you even try out for that part? You're such a pretty little thing. I'm sure you'd get it. When I was your age, I would have jumped at the opportunity. I already told you, Mom, I don't like showing myself in front of other people. Alice, you do realize you have to grow up someday. It's about time you turned into a young lady.
Just look in the mirror, Alice. You'll never be anyone special.
You're the prettiest of them all. All you need is some lipstick and makeup, and you look just like I always wanted to look. The only thing I want is to be happy to be me. It's that simple. Ow! But there's got to be a way. There must be. Huh? How bizarre. The hands of my alarm clock are moving backwards. Everything seems to be backwards here. That reflection of me in the mirror, it can't be too far away. If I could just get all the way up there, perhaps I could find it.
I'm back where I started from. If paths do exactly as they please around here, I can't imagine how people get around this place. If only flowers could talk.
But we can talk, under one condition.
That you have something to say.
Hey, girls, did you get wind of the scent?
Of that strange flower?
If only her petals curled up a little more, she'd be all right.
Excuse me, ladies, but did you happen to see another flower, sort of like me, pass by? The same, but prettier?
That can move about like you? Maybe.
I bet she means that red flower, the one with all the thorns around her head. And I believe that's her right now. I can feel her footsteps along the walk.
There's only one way of catching up with her.
Turn around and start walking backwards.
But that's absurd. What a preposterous... Hey, she's right. It's working. Just a few more steps. Hey, that's not my reflection.
Stand up straight, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers all the time.
Excuse me, Your Majesty, but I lost my reflection, and I've been looking for it everywhere, but I only ended up losing my way.
What do you mean by your way? What insolence! Don't you know that here all ways belong to me?
How bizarre! Why do I get the feeling we're not going anywhere?
Faster, hurry up and stop your chattering! That's unless you want to end up with a cramp. And now, mandatory rest.
That same tree, these same bushes, but... Huh? It's just as I thought. We've been going absolutely nowhere.
You will soon learn, little one, that in this world you have to run long and fast just to stay in the same place.
They look like the squares of a giant chessboard.
And I am one of the most powerful pieces. And you are just a pawn.
I would really like to be a queen.
In order to become one, you would have to get to the very last square. But there's little hope for a pipsqueak like you.
I could always try.
The fog is starting to roll in. I'd watch out if I were you.
A train. That should get me where I'm going faster.
Ticket, please. Let's see. Now then, show me your ticket, child, and don't keep him waiting.
Think how much his time is worth per minute.
I haven't got a ticket. There wasn't any ticket office where I came from.
Huh? You're traveling the wrong way. We should throw that child right out the door.
Look, she's already come on in.
She should be made to pull the train herself the rest of the way.
I won't stay a second more in this compartment full of nutcases. I'm going to pull the alarm. Ah!
Good riddance. Good riddance.
Good riddance.
Huh?
boat, then?
Well, what do you know? It's Pete and Repeat.
How do you do? How do you do?
Pete and Repeat are in a boat and...
Since you seem to know the riddle, and we are indeed in a boat, if one of us happens to fall out, which one remains?
I refuse to answer. I don't want that riddle repeated.
Answer the riddle, then. If Pete falls out, who's left on the boat? It's no use. It's no use. It's no use making you repeat it if you already know the answer. What's more, you're not even real. You're just part of the Red King's dream. You know very well that you don't really exist. You're just sort of a thing in his dream.
Huh?
I wouldn't make too much noise if I were in your shoes. If that there king was to wake, you'd go out, bang, just like a candle. What's that you said?
Hush, you'll wake him up. Well, what do you make of this? If I wasn't real, how could I be crying?
I hope you don't think that those are real tears. That those are real tears. Will you stop repeating everything that I say? Will you stop repeating everything that I say? Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop
Which way do I go now? If only there was some kind of a clue or some kind of a sign. Huh? It must be this way then.
Oh, my scarf!
Lucky I was in the right place at the right time.
I've never encountered such a disobedient piece of fabric. What's more, if I were you, my dear, I wouldn't wear one.
Well, personally, I'd prefer...
A nice long dress made of blotting paper with plenty of whipped cream on the cuffs of the sleeves. If I were you, my dear, this is what I'd wear.
I'm afraid that's not very practical.
In that case, if I were you, I'd wear this. Or perhaps this. Oh, no, that won't do.
Instead of giving advice, why don't you try all those things yourself?
Here in the land of the looking glass, it is always somebody else who lives out all our dreams.
I guess that means everything works backwards in your land.
At first, living backwards does make one terribly giddy, but remember how quickly one gets used to it.
How do you expect me to remember?
Oh, I suppose I just forgot that your memory only works in one direction. Here we not only remember what has already happened, but also what is going to happen. Ouch!
Did you prick your finger?
Not yet, but in just a few moments. The pin on my brooch will, and I will have done all the screaming already. As for the pain, I will already have felt it.
Very practical. But now, if you'll excuse me, I still have to get to the last square. I want to become queen.
You're right to want to follow in my footsteps. But if I were you, my dear, I'd take a different path to reach the last square.
Why? Won't this path take me there?
Yes, but...
And no buts. I'll follow my own path, and I'll make it one way or another. Oh, what thick fog. When I was your age...
Look up!
Good riddance.
Sit nicely and don't twiddle your fingers all the time.
Stop repeating everything I say.
Here in the land of the looking glass, it's always somebody else who lives out all our dreams.
The very last square. What if it's at the top of these stairs? seen that egg before. He's from that nursery rhyme I've known since I was a baby. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again.
I dare say your singing is terribly out of tune, but tell me, what is your name?
Alice.
Now that is a stupid name, if I may say so. What on earth does it mean?
Well,
Now, take my name, for example. Humpty Dumpty. Now, there's a name that corresponds perfectly to my shape. And a good handsome shape it is, too. With a name like yours, why, you could be any shape. You could be any shape at all.
if you keep on rocking back and forth like that, you're going to fall down. Eggs are fragile, you know. If you're expecting all the king's horses and the king's men to put you back together again...
How do you know that His Majesty himself promised to come to my rescue? Have you been listening at doors, or behind trees, or down chimneys?
Everyone knows that. I've known that story for nearly 12 years now.
12 years? Oh, what a disgraceful age to be. If only you had asked me for advice, I would have told you to stop growing at 7. But unfortunately for you, it is too late now.
I've never needed to ask anyone for advice about my age.
Perhaps you are simply too proud.
What does an egg know about life anyway? Stop growing at 7. Nursery rhymes were amusing before, but they're beginning to get stale.
Leaving already? Perhaps we shall have the pleasure of meeting again, though I doubt I shall recognize you.
I'll never get to be queen if I continue wasting my time on these characters.
You are excruciatingly common. You look like everyone else. One eye on the right, the other on the left, nose in the middle, mouth under the nose. Always the same thing. If at least both your eyes were on the same side, that might be better. Or perhaps if your mouth were where your forehead is, that might be of some help. But I'm afraid you don't seem particularly willing to make an effort. Pity.
What are you? A plant? Or perhaps an animal? Or are you a mineral?
Who, me? I'm just a little girl.
A real live little girl?
Well, I suppose I am.
That's absolutely incredible. I always thought that little girls were fabulous monsters.
And I always thought unicorns were, I've never actually seen one in real life.
Now that you and I have met each other, if you believe in me, I'll believe in you.
It's a bargain.
Will you still be here in 15 minutes?
If you like, I'll wait right here. 15 minutes already?
Check. You're my prisoner.
Wow, he's so cute.
Boy, checkmate!
She's my prisoner, you know.
Yes, but then I came and rescued her.
Wait, don't go.
That Prince Charming of yours was sure in a hurry. Whoa! You shouldn't let yourself get captured so easily, dear child.
Well, anyway, I don't want to be anybody's prisoner. I want to be a queen.
Well, in that case, follow me. I'll lead the way and show you how to get to the last square.
Oh, why does your horse have spikes around his neck?
I had to find some way to guard against the bites of sharks. It's an invention of my... The great art of riding is not as complicated as it looks. The key is to keep your balance properly, like this. Did you get that? But most of all, you should always keep in mind the laws of gravity. This is where we each go our separate ways. Just a few more steps, and you can become a queen.
At last!
I only ask one thing in return. When you see me ride off into the distance, I want you to think of me just for one moment and wave your handkerchief. It'll give me courage, you see.
I promise I will, and thank you for looking out for me.
You will always be my little princess.
And now I'm off to become a queen. I did it! I can't believe it. I'm queen at last.
Congratulations, my dear. Come here so I can give you a kiss.
You are unworthy of your title. In any case, be forewarned that I do not tolerate any rivals.
I now pronounce the Miss Alice contest officially open.
But isn't it already over?
You're forgetting, dear, that here one is elected before voting has even begun.
Allow me to invite you to the closing ceremony.
It seems to me that I should be the one giving out the invitations. Will you wake up? They must weigh a ton. Huh?
Then fill up the glasses as fast as you can, and sprinkle the table with buttons and rags, with cats in the coffee and mice in the tea, and welcome Queen Alice with 30 times free. Long live Queen Alice!
I would very much like to thank you all
Get
for...
to the point, dear. And stand on this pedestal. You shall remain there always, forever beautiful.
Huh? But then I'd be sure to get pins and needles all over. And anyway, I have to get back to my room now.
What an ungrateful child!
Oh, she should have said. How many times must I remind you that she's my prisoner?
What's distressing is her insolence.
And she has no ticket.
We should have thrown her out the window. Or thrown her in my stew. I have an excellent recipe.
Stop repeating everything I said. I did think that was a little odd. If one of us falls into the water, it's not too hard to get to that.
Oh, but that's not at all the kind of queen that I was hoping to become.
I told you so. You're ridiculous.
Hello there. I refuse to become some kind of porcelain doll, some pathetic statue doomed to stay in the same place forever.
Her behavior is unacceptable. Does she realize what she's doing?
Alice, come back here this instant. When I was her age...
What are you rambling on about again?
Listen, that child...
My own room. At last, I'm finally me.